to another Excitech BIM 360 surgery. This morning it is number 51, and today we're going to take a look at something a little bit different. Through one of our third-party partners, Ideate, they have released a really cool new partner card. And I'm going to take a look at how that works and how it can be configured within BIM 360. So I'm in my usual 360 surgery project. If I go to customize and go to the card library, filter it by partner cards, you can see this is getting bigger and bigger every day. But there is an awesome new one called Ideate Cloud, and you can add that card to your home space. I'm just going to pop it in beside my Esri one, and that will be that. And we hit save. So that's the easy bit done. You can see, please configure this card in the customize mode. So there are a couple of things need to be done for this to work. First and foremost, you need to be a project administrator and an account administrator and go into the custom apps section. So if we look at settings, custom integrations, you will see there is a custom integration required for this. All the details of how to get this are all listed on the Ideate site for how to get started. When you go to their awesome help files under support and help, you will get the dashboard for BIM 360, and then you've got the getting started, and it goes through everything about what is needed for the custom integration and how you set that up. You go in, you add it via the custom integration, add it, you take select next, you go for account administration, document management, initiate a developer, and then you type in their email address and click send, and the guys at Ideate will then go off and look at approving that custom integration and settings, and then speaking with you and getting it all set up. And then congratulations, everything is up and running. So a little bit different to what you may be used to for this, but yeah, this is the custom integration part. Initiate a developer, send the email off to support at ideatesoftware.com. They'll get in contact with you, discuss your needs, and then approve the custom integration as required. So that gets you this, and you can see that it is now active. And then that takes me back to my project. So if I go back to the surgery and we go to project home. So once your custom integration, that allows you to get the data up and down to the partner cards. And then what you must do is looking at setting this up. So if we look at, let's say, for those of you familiar with Ideate apps and the things that they do with the different products with BIM Link and all the others, you can get stuff like the stoplights. So it gives you all the warnings from the files. And the way that this works is that you add a partner card. So we're gonna follow the steps in this to show you how it's done. So with the newly configured partner card, we go to configure. So we're going to click customize, scroll to our partner card, select configure. You'll see that it looks for a card title and a partner URL. So we're going to just follow exactly. So we're going to put the Revit KPI warnings in, and we're going to say that that is the name of that. And then it asks you for the partner card URL. So again, I'm going to copy the ideatesolutions.com/stoplight, and that's going to go in there. And when you click save, you will see it's starting to work, and you get this little thing. So it says, once you add that initial name and the URL, it says a custom URL has been generated. So basically, it needs a custom URL so it can recognize your BIM 360 account HQ number or your ID number. So we copy that URL. Then we will go to customize again and configure, and we replace this partner URL with the updated one. So basically what it does is it takes your partner URL, your ID number, and then incorporates it in, and then we click save, and then we can go and we save the partner card, and we now get the ability to then look at our Revit warnings. The beauty of this is that it can look at all the different projects. So you could have 20 different partner cards. So the idea is that you could potentially create a sample project and have warnings reported across several projects. So what you do is you select the drop down, This will be based on your username, so your Autodesk ID and the projects that you have access to. We're going to go and let's say select the new possible. And then it goes off and it's doing a little bit of checking. So it's physically, I think, downloading the data. So it's getting the data from this project. It will take a second or two. Whilst that's working, I'm just going to switch to another project. So I mentioned that you could have all your cards sitting in a single project. So I've set up this sample project aggregator. Again, it is just from the help file. So under here, the guys at Ideate they tell you how to do it. So if you want an aggregator project, just add several different cards in. And what that will give you then is several dashboards reporting different types of information. So you can see in here, I can click a project. You can see it's all starting to load. So this will slowly start. You can see it's now collecting the Revit files. So this is going to show different information each time. So you can just give this a second or two and it will, obviously, depending on the size of the data and the size of the files, this will start to report different types of information. It will take a minute or two the first time that we run it because it's going to grab that data from BIM 360 and then take it down and represent it. So the idea with this is that you can have, you can have the stoplight warning, which will give you your sort of traffic light system to report the warnings within the Revit file. We then have the warning file size. So this is a nice bar graph where it starts to show the warnings per megabyte, which is a really, really awesome indicator to the potential problems within a file. And then you can actually physically then report the warnings count. So once these cards actually start to populate, you'll see the true benefit that we can really start to get. So it's a little bit of configuration. Once you get your head around it, it's pretty simple. So copy the URL, log in, then copy the custom URL, paste it, and off you go. So this just will take a second or two as I'm doing it all live. It may take a second or two. I may just log into another BIM 360 session and to see if I can return the values on the surgery that little bit quicker. So we go to Project Home. Let this load. Let's have a look at it. So we're just going to log in. It's going to ask that we need to provision, which is fine. So that's just checking your permissions, making sure that everything is okay. So it is just checking bit by bit. We go in here and see how this is getting on. Okay, so we will just change that. That should now start to work. It's going a little bit slow. I think this is just because I'm pushing so much data up in the live stream. Let's go back to here and hopefully this starts to show the information pretty soon. It's working. You can see both are spooling away. They're grabbing, collecting the Revit files, analyzing that data so then it can report this information. So while that's doing that, you can basically have three different types of cards: stoplight, warnings, file size, and then a warnings count. And as I've mentioned, then the ideal thing is that you could have this reporting on 20, 30 projects if you wish within your home space. And the beauty of this is that you don't need access to Revit. You don't need access to any of the Ideate software that obviously we resell and you can get within your Revit environment. You just need access to the cloud side of things. So hopefully this starts to work. Might just refresh the page. We'll allow the data. So it's just going a little bit slower than I would expect. But again, as I said, I am streaming live, so that was probably taking quite a lot of my bandwidth. Time for it. So that seems to be okay. We can now select our project. So I'm just going to refresh it. See how we're getting on here. You can now see it's still working away. Here we have returned data on some of these values. So let's go in and look at this one. So you can see this one is working. It's a little bit slow, as I've said, but it will get there. Just close that one down. So it's just a little bit of a waiting game at the minute, but you can see it's reading the warnings. This one is progressing. And obviously, once you do it the first time, it's a lot quicker thereafter, hopefully, to report the information and the data. And you can see this one has now worked. You can see on the left-hand side, we're looking in the new possible. We're working in our work in progress folder. And you can see it all comes at once, doesn't it? You can see there's the warnings per version. You can see you can hover over and you're getting a lot of interesting data. So this is telling me that we've got total warnings 15.9 per megabyte. File size, you can see it's quite a problematic file. You can see then down here, this has done multiple files. And then when we look at, I really find this one a really useful card. So you can see what the project is, what the file size. You even get the Revit version, when it was last published, what published version it is, and any unranked warnings. So you can see just some really powerful data that you can now start to get back. And the beauty of this is that, if, as I said, you could have 10 of these cards sitting here just reporting sort of at a high level within the project admin and within your environment as to what the current status is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It just took a little while to get there. I think that's probably due to the streaming. But yeah, this is it. This is some really awesome stuff from the guys at Ideate. You enable your custom app, download your cards, configure them, and then off you go. And you can just get some really powerful data back in about your projects. If you need any more information, reach out to myself, reach out to the guys direct at Ideate. They'll be able to help you get this up and running, have a look at it, show you some of the more in-depth features that come with it. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there and join me next week for another 360 surgery.